A woman, joyfully heading to a shop to pick up her custom-made wedding ring, was unaware that her fiancé was intimately entangled with another woman in their jointly decorated bridal suite. After collecting the ring and booking their honeymoon, Yumi-ri sent a message to her fiancé, Kim Woo-ju, hoping to have dinner together that evening. At that moment, Kim Woo-ju, between kisses with his lover, replied to the message, falsely claiming he was still at work. The next day, as Yumi-ri was arranging their new home and talking to her mother on the phone, she complained about the cost of the wedding, which she felt could be better spent on their new home expenses. Her mother reminded her to be understanding and not complain about Kim Woo-ju not covering the full rent for the new home, to avoid embarrassing him. Yumi-ri, inheriting her mother's traits and being a rare good wife and mother of her time, suddenly stepped on a woman's earring, sparking a bad feeling. After hanging up the phone, Yumi-ri found a long hair that obviously wasn't hers on the bed. Kim Woo-ju had already moved into the bridal suite alone, while Yumi-ri was still living in her old house. These clear signs indicated that Kim Woo-ju was seeing another woman. Yumi-ri confronted Kim Woo-ju with the earring, demanding an explanation. He lied, claiming it belonged to a female colleague who had accidentally left it during a company visit to their bridal suite. Yumi-ri quickly checked the social media accounts of Kim Woo-ju's colleagues. On the day of the supposed team building, they were all busy with their own activities, suggesting that Kim Woo-ju had a private date with the female colleague instead. She also found a photo of the colleague wearing the earring. If Kim Woo-ju refused to confess, she was ready to confront the other woman at his company. Frightened, Kim Woo-ju confessed but shamelessly tried to justify his actions. To atone, he slapped himself, reminding Yumi-ri that they were already registered for marriage, had booked the wedding venue, and paid the deposit for the new home, hoping she would weigh the pros and cons and forgive him this once. As soon as she finished speaking, a female colleague suddenly sent him a photo of herself in sexy lingerie. Yumi-ri noticed his strange behavior and insisted on checking his phone. They struggled over the phone, and in an attempt to destroy the evidence, Kim Woo-ju threw the phone on the ground and stomped on it. Yumi-ri tried to pick it up, but accidentally got her hand stepped on. In that moment, Yumi-ri felt utterly disillusioned. Over their 5 years together, Kim Woo-ju had shown little care for her, and she realized that even if they married, they would likely end up divorced. It was better to end the relationship sooner rather than later. Before leaving, she threw coffee in Kim Woo-ju's face as punishment. A month later, they filed for divorce. Yumi-ri did not want to worry her mother and asked Kim Woo-ju to agree on a story that he was too busy for the wedding, which would be postponed. They planned to gradually tell her mother the truth later. Kim Woo-ju, shamelessly, was off to meet his new girlfriend and handed Yumi-ri the divorce papers, asking her to submit them when due. Yumi-ri quietly canceled the wedding venue, honeymoon, and wedding dress rental. After handling everything, sadness overwhelmed her, and she went to play baseball alone, vowing to move on and live well. On the day she was to submit the divorce papers, the police suddenly showed up. Yumi-ri learned that her bridal suite was involved in a rental scam. The landlord, while abroad, had left the property under a management company's care. Unbeknownst to the management company's boss, an employee had impersonated the landlord and signed the lease with Yumi-ri. The police advised her to move out to avoid being sued by the landlord for trespassing. Immediately, Yumi-ri called Kim Woo-ju, whose uncle worked at the prosecutor's office, hoping he could help recover 300 million won. However, Kim Woo-ju's new girlfriend was unhappy with him taking the call, and the heartless Kim Woo-ju told Yumi-ri that contacting an ex-boyfriend like this was impolite, and they were no longer related. She should handle her problems on her own. A helpless Yumi-ri drowned her sorrows in alcohol. Later, as she staggered home drunk, she bumped into a car parked by the roadside. The man from the car came out to help her up and offered to take her to the hospital. Yumi-ri waved him off, indicating she was fine. The man then saved his phone number in her mobile, advising her to contact him to reimburse her medical expenses. Seeing the name Kim Woo-ju saved in her phone, she mistook him for her ex-boyfriend, grabbed him, and vented her fury. The man, also named Kim Woo-ju, was confused by her sudden aggression and quickly returned to his car. Yumi-ri followed him into the car and refused to get out. After a long argument in the car, Kim Woo-ju managed to get Yumi-ri out, but she quickly ran after him, jumped on his back, and covered his eyes while cursing. Kim Woo-ju struggled to get her off, And unexpectedly, Yumi-ri lost her balance and sat down on a cactus full of sharp spines. While crying, Yumi-ri talked about her ex-boyfriend's betrayal and asked for Kim Woo-ju's help due to the pain. Kim Woo-ju contacted a doctor friend who treated her wounds, then diligently drove her home. Yumi-ri had to kneel on the passenger seat, which caused her motion sickness. Kim Woo-ju stopped the car on a bridge to let her get some air. As Yumi-ri watched the sunrise, she reflected that despite her life's troubles, the sun would still rise, suggesting there might always be a way forward in life. When parting, Kim Woo-ju advised Yumi-ri to check in at a hospital. Yumi-ri apologized for the trouble she caused and offered to transfer money for the car ride and medical expenses. Kim Woo-ju did not respond and quickly drove away. Unlucky Yumi-ri returned home to catch up on sleep, but was awakened by a phone call. The caller claimed to be from Beautiful Department Store, congratulating her on winning a prize. Yumi-ri initially thought it was a scam, but then she remembered that when she picked up her ring, a store mascot had given her a lottery ticket to win a 5 billion won villa. She had casually written her name and phone number on it, folded a corner, and stuffed it in. The department store had already predetermined the winner to be the mayor's wife's nephew. A representative planned to fake the draw by hiding the pre-selected ticket in his sleeve and pretending to draw it from the box. However, he accidentally dropped the rigged ticket into the box and panicked while searching for the folded corner. When he finally found it and announced the winner, he was shocked to see it was not the ticket he had rigged. Under the public's gaze, he couldn't cheat and had to announce Yumi-ri's name. Yumi-ri couldn't believe her stroke of luck. The rules required the winner to be a newlywed couple without a home and to present a marriage certificate to claim the prize. Fortunately, she hadn't submitted her divorce papers yet and quickly provided all the required documents. The department store's secretary confirmed that Yumi-ri and Kim Woo-ju were newlyweds of 5 months without their own home, meeting all conditions for the prize. However, with the husband unable to attend the award ceremony, the representative was looking for ways to disqualify Yumi-ri. Upon learning that the husband couldn't attend, he immediately ordered to add a rule. If fraud was discovered, the winner would lose the prize and face legal consequences. Both spouses must attend the ceremony together. Not wanting to miss this rare opportunity, Yumi-ri called her ex-boyfriend for help, but Kim Woo-ju, annoyed by the interruption, blocked her. While Yumi-ri was brainstorming solutions, she suddenly received a message from Kim Woo-ju asking if she had checked her arm at the hospital. Realizing that Kim Woo-ju shared the same Korean name and bore a resemblance to her ex-boyfriend, Yumi-ri thought she might just be able to pass him off as her husband. She soon found Kim Woo-ju and asked if he was married. After he said no, she asked if he could pretend to be her husband just for a day at the department store. Kim Woo-ju misunderstood, thinking Yumi-ri wanted to use a fake marriage to scam other men. He warned her to drop the idea and even threatened to watch her at the department store over the weekend, vowing to call the police if he spotted any fraudulent activity. After rejecting Yumi-ri, Kim Woo-ju went to the hospital to visit his good friend Yoon Jin-kyung, thanking her for taking care of his grandmother while he was abroad. Yoon Jin-kyung, who had developed feelings for Kim Woo-ju, hinted during their chat that she had nearly taken on the role of a granddaughter-in-law over the years. Oblivious Kim Woo-ju did not catch her drift. The conversation shifted, and Yoon Jin-kyung asked when he planned to start working at the company. Kim Woo-ju's grandmother owns Korea's largest dessert company. After his parents passed away, his aunt's family took care of him. However, his cousin, employed at the company for many years, had shown no progress. Frustrated, the grandmother removed her nephew from his marketing director position and decided to appoint Kim Woo-ju instead. The aunt was displeased that her son was replaced, but the grandmother, who separates personal from professional matters, insisted on appointing Kim Woo-ju and having her nephew start over from scratch. At this point, Kim Woo-ju was unaware that his appointment had already sparked a significant controversy within the company. Just then, a little girl suddenly fell and sat on the ground, crying loudly. Kim Woo-ju walked over to comfort her. When he saw the doll on her bag, he was reminded of a long-ago memory. As a child, his parents died in a car accident, and he was the only survivor. After being taken to the hospital, a strange little girl came to comfort him and gave him a talking teddy bear, a warmth Kim Woo-ju still remembers vividly. However, he never knew the girl's name or where she is now. The next day, Kim Woo-ju officially started his new role. At Kim Woo-ju's first group meeting, his deputy reported that the company was launching a new gift box. Kim Woo-ju's grandmother, the group's chairwoman, approved of the packaging design, believing it would enhance the joy of unwrapping for consumers. However, his cousin pointed out that the design had copyright issues. 6 months earlier, as group leader, the cousin had approved the design paperwork, which offered permanent authorization and one-time authorization options. For a one-time event, the cousin chose the cheaper one-time authorization. Now, as they prepared to launch the product officially, the deputy had forgotten to renew the contract with the design company. The cousin had known about this copyright risk and intentionally waited to bring it up during Kim Woo-ju's chaired meeting to embarrass him. Kim Woo-ju promised to contact the design company immediately to extend the contract. Kim Woo-ju instructed his staff to reach out to the design company's representative, who then demanded a copyright fee of 50 million won, 10 times the original amount. At this time, Kim Woo-ju had no idea that the representative of the design company was Yoo Mi-ri, who had just received a mysterious call. The caller stated that the dessert company intended to buy out the rights to the gift box design and suggested she could raise the design fee. Yoo Mi-ri, unsure who was calling, decided to start with a high price and see how things unfolded. Kim Woo-ju, unwilling to be exploited by the design company, considered changing the gift box design. However, his employees reported that the initial production costs of the gift box had already amounted to 150 million won, and changing the design now would waste the initial investment. Kim Woo-ju reluctantly instructed his staff to arrange a meeting with the design company's representative, planning to negotiate personally. Meanwhile, Yoo Mi-ri had not yet heard back from the company but received a notification from the department store. They reminded her that if she could not confirm her husband's attendance at the award ceremony today, her prize would be forfeited. Desperate, Yoo Mi-ri went to her ex-boyfriend's house, hoping his mother could help contact him. His mother, who looked down on the less affluent and was proud of her son's wealthier new girlfriend, ridiculed Yoo Mi-ri for her ordinary background and lack of education, deeming her unworthy of her son. Her ex-boyfriend's sister also belittled Yoo Mi-ri. Faced with their disdain, Yoo Mi-ri abandoned the idea of seeking help. She warned them to pretend not to know her if they ever met on the street, and mocked her ex-boyfriend for being a mama's boy. After making her point, Yoo Mi-ri left her ex-boyfriend's house with firm steps. Just as she reached the door, Yoo Mi-ri received a call from an employee. The company's manager invited her to discuss the specifics of the gift box copyright. Kim Woo-ju came later with the relevant contract, but never expected the design company's representative waiting for him to be Yoo Mi-ri. Yoo Mi-ri was equally surprised to find that the company manager seeking her help was Kim Woo-ju. Now, their roles reversed. Yoo Mi-ri offered to sign the contract at the original price if Kim Woo-ju agreed to pretend to be her husband. Kim Woo-ju, mistaking her request as another attempt at fraud, was reluctant to collude. Yoo Mi-ri, seeing no other option, explained the situation about her winning the prize and pleaded with him, emphasizing her need for the house as a soon-to-be divorced woman. Realizing her request was genuine and recalling his cousin's provocation and his grandmother's advice, Kim Woo-ju decided to help. Yoo Mi-ri quickly signed the contract, resolving Kim Woo-ju's immediate problem. On the award ceremony day, Yoo Mi-ri had Kim Woo-ju wear a wedding ring and glasses to resemble her ex-boyfriend more closely. When the staff checked their IDs, Kim Woo-ju claimed he left them in the car but confidently recited his ex-boyfriend's ID number and their registered marriage date. After completing all verification steps, Yoo Mi-ri successfully finalized the award procedures. They were photographed with the department store representative, aware the photos would be in the news. Kim Woo-ju wore a mask and hat to cover up, and Yoo Mi-ri used flowers to hide her face. After the ceremony, Baek Sang-hyun from the department store took them to see the prize villa. Yoo Mi-ri was very pleased with the idyllic garden and spacious house, but lied that it was too far from their workplaces and wanted to sell it. Baek Sang-hyun, showing them the recently signed property guidelines, reminded them they must live in the house for 3 months before they could transfer ownership. Until then, the house remained the department store's property, and they had no right to sell it. If they divorced within 3 months, the prize would be forfeited, and inspectors would visit to verify their residency. Baek Sang-hyun revealed he lived opposite the villa, and seeing them daily would suffice for the inspection. Kim Woo-ju was overwhelmed by the complications his simple act of help had caused. Refusing to continue the charade with Yoo Mi-ri, he walked outside, feeling he had been too harsh with her, and called to apologize. Just as she answered, his aunt and cousin unexpectedly appeared. and he hurriedly ended the call. They were visiting a nearby entrepreneur and were surprised to encounter Kim Woo-ju. They questioned why he was there, and before he could explain, Baek Sang-hyun, out for a walk, approached to greet Kim Woo-ju and his wife. Caught off guard, and seeing Yumi-ri approaching while on the phone, Kim Woo-ju was at a loss for words. The situation suddenly became tense. Kim Woo-ju urgently signaled to Yumi-ri not to come over. Sensing the urgency, Yumi-ri quickly used her hair to cover her face and squatted at the corner to hide. In the chaos, she accidentally dropped her phone. Kim Woo-ju went to great lengths to send Baek Sang-hyun away. The aunt and cousin, who missed the excitement, had no choice but to leave. Just then, Yumi-ri's phone suddenly rang. Hearing the ringtone, the aunt got out of the car, picked up the phone, and looked around for the owner. She accidentally spotted Yumi-ri hiding nearby. Frightened, Yumi-ri immediately hid in a doghouse, pretending to be a mentally unstable homeless woman, and managed to retrieve her phone from her aunt. The crisis was finally averted. However, Kim Woo-ju could no longer endure such nerve-wracking situations. He called Yumi-ri and asked her not to stay in the villa anymore, as Baek Sang-hyun would eventually discover her living alone. He declared their arrangement over and warned Yumi-ri not to cause him more trouble. The previous rental had been terminated, and the marital home repossessed by the landlord. With no place to stay, Yumi-ri, dragging her suitcase, wandered the streets. She thought of staying with a friend, only to find out the friend had enlisted and the house was rented out. At a loss, she saw an ad for a motel, promising no deposit required, which instantly attracted her. Yumi-ri arrived at the motel with her luggage. Although the cleanliness was questionable, at least she had a place to stay. She expected a sleepless first night, but surprisingly slept until 9 o'clock. After getting ready, she hurried to the hospital to meet a client. Upon leaving, she coincidentally met Yoon Jin-kyung, who had bandaged her wounds previously. Yoon Jin-kyung had heard from Kim Woo-ju about his chaotic first meeting with Yumi-ri, and how during their second encounter, Yumi-ri had directly proposed marriage. She took the opportunity to probe into Yumi-ri and Kim Woo-ju's relationship, causing Yumi-ri to awkwardly explain that it was just a joke. She went to the company to present her design proposal to Kim Woo-ju's marketing team, which was unanimously approved, giving her a sense of relief. The team decided to celebrate with a dinner and warmly invited Yumi-ri to join. During the meal, the conversation turned to buying houses, and the workers who couldn't afford one expressed envy of the lucky person who had won a department store villa prize. Someone took out their phone to check who the winner was. Yumi-ri quickly signaled to Kim Woo-ju to stop them. He immediately covered the phone with a menu, suggesting they order more food to divert attention, and discreetly hid the phone. After adding more dishes, Yumi-ri stood up and continued to urge everyone to drink. By the time the dinner was nearly over, she was quite tipsy. She ran to the restroom to wash her face and sober up, only to be followed by the senior employee who had invited her, who bluntly asked her to pay the bill. Kim Woo-ju realized that they were taking advantage of Yumi-ri, treating her as an easy target. To avoid affecting future cooperation, Yumi-ri reluctantly agreed to pay, but her card was declined repeatedly due to insufficient funds. At her most embarrassed moment, Kim Woo-ju stepped in and paid with his card. The opportunistic senior employee lied, claiming Yumi-ri had offered to treat everyone. Kim Woo-ju immediately objected, stating it made no sense for a single collaborator to pay for the entire group's meal. After dinner, everyone suggested continuing the night at a KTV. Kim Woo-ju, worried that the inebriated Yumi-ri might say something inappropriate, insisted on taking her home. At the motel, Yumi-ri dumped the contents of her suitcase on the floor, searching for her room key, only to remember she had left in a rush that morning without taking it. Kim Woo-ju, both annoyed and helpless, had to run from the 5th floor to the lobby to ask the manager to unlock the door. After settling Yumi-ri on the bed, he noticed in the mirror that the manager was looking at Yumi-ri with ill intent. Suppressing his unease, he quickly left the motel. Reaching his car, he realized he had left his keys in Yumi-ri's room. Kim Woo-ju called Yumi-ri, and just as she answered, he heard her scream. Recalling the manager's expression, he was convinced she was being harassed, and rushed back to the room. Upon seeing the manager in her room, he punched him, causing a nosebleed. A confused Yumi-ri questioned why he had hit someone without reason. Kim Woo-ju accused the manager of touching her leg, But Yumi-ri explained that she had spilled hot noodles on her foot, and the manager was merely helping by bringing a first aid kit. Realizing the misunderstanding, Kim Woo-ju carefully apologized. However, the aggrieved manager firmly demanded that Yumi-ri leave, no longer wanting to deal with their erratic behavior. After being evicted, Kim Woo-ju treated Yumi-ri's burn. Finding out she had nowhere to go, he reluctantly took her to the villa she had won in the prize draw, cautioning her to live there secretly and avoid being discovered by Baek Sang-hyun. Having found a place to stay, Yumi-ri slept soundly in the villa. After waking up, she stepped outside to breathe the fresh air and was appreciating the villa's beautiful environment when she suddenly saw Baek Sang-hyun coming out of the house across the street. She quickly ducked down to hide and only relaxed after confirming she hadn't been spotted. However, not long after, she received a call from Baek Sang-hyun, informing her that a company representative would visit according to procedure and advised her to be prepared. Yumi-ri hadn't anticipated any follow-up matters and slept that night without turning on the lights, using only her phone's light to barely manage her evening routine. A mosquito kept her from sleeping, and while trying to kill it, she accidentally activated the voice-controlled lights. She scrambled to turn them off but struggled with the controls, causing the lights to flicker intermittently. Baek Sang-hyun noticed the flickering lights in the villa across and knocked on Yumi-ri's door, saying he had vehicle registration documents to pass on. Yumi-ri seized the opportunity to ask about how to use the voice-controlled lights. Baek Sang-hyun entered the room, took out the remote, and patiently taught her how to manage and turn off the lights. Noticing only one pair of women's shoes at the door and no other male belongings around, Baek Sang-hyun grew suspicious and questioned whether her husband was living there. Yumi-ri lied that her husband's belongings were on the second floor and she hadn't had time to arrange them yet. Baek Sang-hyun left somewhat unconvinced and reminded her that the company representative would visit next week. To avoid revealing her secret, Yumi-ri called Kim Woo-ju for help, asking him to bring over some unworn clothes and personal items to stage the house. Kim Woo-ju, worried that solving this problem might only lead to new ones in the future, decided on a permanent solution. He took Yumi-ri to a photo booth to take wedding photos, planning to hang the pictures in the villa and display some personal items to prevent any further questions about their relationship. Yumi-ri, wearing a wedding dress, appeared awkwardly in front of Kim Woo-ju, who was instantly captivated. Since meeting her, it was the first time he realized how beautiful Yumi-ri was. To make the photos look authentic, he pulled Yumi-ri onto his lap and posed intimately. However, as they looked into each other's eyes, both felt their hearts pounding. Kim Woo-ju went out first, letting Yumi-ri change out of the wedding dress. Just as he stepped outside, he saw a subordinate taking pictures with a friend and quickly retreated back to the photo room. But the subordinate had already come looking for him. In a panic, to avoid being recognized, he hastily kissed Yumi-ri. Kim Woo-ju hung the wedding photos on the wall in Yumi-ri's room and even suggested they go together to borrow repair tools from Baek Sang-hyun. In front of Baek Sang-hyun, they posed sweetly, working hard to maintain the facade of a loving married couple. The next day during a meeting, Kim Woo-ju's subordinate stared at his back, increasingly convinced he resembled the groom she had seen kissing at the photo studio the day before. She shared her observations with colleagues, and the gossip-prone co-workers immediately inquired if she had seen the bride clearly. Reflecting on the details, the subordinate felt the bride looked very much like Yumi-ri. Yumi-ri's heart raced as the subordinate reached for her phone to call the photo studio for the reservation list. But just then, Kim Woo-ju entered the conference room, announcing the official start of the meeting, which interrupted the subordinate's actions. After the meeting, Yumi-ri pulled Kim Woo-ju aside in the stairwell, worried the subordinate would continue her investigation. Kim Woo-ju reassured her to relax, explaining that he had not used his real name when booking the photo shoot, so even if they inquired, there would be no way to verify it. Before parting, Kim Woo-ju told Yumi-ri that his grandmother really appreciated her design and wanted her to present it to her at the next meeting. At that moment, Kim Woo-ju's grandmother was recuperating at home. She was informed that the head of the accounting department had died in a car accident. Kim Woo-ju's uncle told the grandmother that the deceased had a gambling problem and had embezzled company funds to pay off his debts. He suggested that the company should not pursue the matter further to maintain the deceased's dignity, and the grandmother agreed, unaware of the truth. In reality, it was the uncle who had embezzled the funds. The department head had discovered discrepancies in the accounts and reported them to the uncle. Fearing exposure, the uncle kindly offered the department head a drink before he drove home. After drinking it, the department head felt dizzy and crashed into an oncoming truck, dying instantly. During a family dinner where the department head's accident was discussed, Kim Woo-ju's aunt reminded everyone to be careful while driving. This brought back painful memories for Kim Woo-ju, who had survived a car accident that killed his parents. Kim Woo-ju quietly went to his room, haunted by the crash that had killed his parents. He was the only one to crawl out of the wrecked car. A man passing by with a little girl had seen him, called for help, and taken him to the police station. To comfort him, the little girl had given him her teddy bear, and even cried for him. Kim Woo-ju took the cherished teddy bear out of his drawer. Whenever life felt overwhelmingly tough, this bear gave him the strength to endure sleepless nights. The next day, a department store representative came to inspect the home. Kim Woo-ju voluntarily played the role of Yumi-ri's husband. The couple dressed in matching outfits, and Kim Woo-ju's personal belongings were displayed throughout the house, making them look like newlyweds. To ensure they passed the inspection, Yumi-ri had Kim Woo-ju memorize the date she supposedly married her ex-boyfriend and their planned honeymoon itinerary. Kim Woo-ju couldn't help but criticize Yumi-ri's taste for falling for a guy who took advantage of her and cheated. Yumi-ri recalled meeting her ex-boyfriend. She had fallen into water during a trip, and he had rescued her. She was attracted to his handsome face as soon as she opened her eyes. She did not regret the relationship, despite his lack of conscience and kindness. While they were chatting, Baek Sung-hyun called to inform them that the representative had to cancel the visit due to unforeseen circumstances. Relieved, Kim Woo-ju got up to leave but then noticed a Lucky Charm doll Yumi-ri had designed for the company. He sat back down, intrigued, and they started discussing it until he received a call from Yoon Jin-kyung. He had completely forgotten about a planned meeting with her. Yoon Jin-kyung, who had intended to confess her feelings during the meeting, had to lie about working late after he forgot. The following day, Yumi-ri went to the company to present her design report to Kim Woo-ju's grandmother and the executives. Just as she was about to start, she received a call from her mother, who was going to visit her ex-boyfriend's mother to deliver some vegetables. Concerned about her breakup becoming public, Yumi-ri shared the situation with Kim Woo-ju. He told Yumi-ri to stay and give the presentation while he went to stop her mother. It turned out that before heading to the city, Yumi-ri's mother had tried to call her but couldn't get through. She then called Yumi-ri's ex-boyfriend, who, annoyed while on vacation, hung up the phone. At that moment, the ex-boyfriend unexpectedly saw a text message on his new girlfriend's phone displaying only a room number. Without overthinking it, after their meeting, he headed back to their room while his girlfriend mentioned she was going to meet a friend nearby and asked him to return alone. Recalling the room number he had seen, he became suspicious. Pretending to obey, he secretly followed her instead. To his shock, she indeed went to the room from the message and eagerly kissed the man who opened the door as soon as she reached the hallway. Meanwhile, unable to contact anyone, Yumi-ri's mother arrived at her ex-boyfriend's house carrying homemade dishes. The ex-boyfriend's mother and sister coldly informed her that Yumi-ri and her son had long broken up, and mockingly said that Yumi-ri, being poor and inferior, was never a match for him. They told her to stop bothering them. Yumi-ri's mother, trying to smile, suggested there might be a misunderstanding but was arrogantly pushed out the door and accidentally fell, scattering the dishes on the ground. Kim Woo-ju, who arrived just in time, witnessed the scene. He immediately helped Yumi-ri's mother up and carefully gathered the scattered dishes. He then kindly drove her to the station. Upon learning that he was Yumi-ri's business partner, her mother quickly advised him not to believe the ex-boyfriend's mother's slander, emphasizing that Yumi-ri was a kind and ambitious girl. Kim Woo-ju sincerely expressed that his interactions with Yumi-ri had already shown him her many good qualities, indicating that it was the ex-boyfriend's family who lacked discernment. Yumi-ri's mother asked Kim Woo-ju not to tell Yumi-ri that she knew about the breakup, then called Yumi-ri, lying that she hadn't met the ex-boyfriend's mother. However, she was unaware that Yumi-ri already knew the truth, as the ex-boyfriend's sister had contacted Yumi-ri in a harsh tone, scolding her for her mother's disturbance and warning her not to let such incidents happen again. When Kim Woo-ju delivered the homemade dishes his mother had prepared to Yumi-ri, he noticed she had been crying. He suggested that she come clean with her mother about the truth, reasoning that both were considering each other's feelings, and it would be better to clarify things and sever ties with the ex-boyfriend's family. Under Kim Woo-ju's guidance, Yumi-ri called her mother, apologizing for hiding the truth and for causing her worry. Her mother bluntly stated on the phone that she had never liked the ex-boyfriend's family and had only maintained the relationship because of Yumi-ri's feelings for him. Now that they were broken up, there was no need to tolerate them anymore. While Yumi-ri was tasting the dishes her mother had sent, she received another call from her. Her mother couldn't find her wallet and thought it might be in Kim Woo-ju's car. Yumi-ri called Kim Woo-ju to ask him to look for it. Kim Woo-ju found the wallet in a crevice of the car seat, and upon opening it, he saw a family photo of Yumi-ri as a little girl, holding a teddy bear he recognized all too well. He had seen this same photo previously while helping a sleeping Yumi-ri tidy up in a motel, realizing then that the little girl he had been looking for all these years was right beside him. This realization had motivated him to actively pose as a loving husband in front of Baek Sang-hyun and go to great lengths to help her through her difficulties, all to repay a small act of kindness from the past. Expecting the call to be from Kim Woo-ju about the wallet, Yumi-ri was surprised to find her ex-boyfriend on the line instead. Having been deceived, he had returned to the country and wanted to reconcile with her immediately. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-ju, having found the wallet, also dialed Yumi-ri's number.